Mr. Malcolms, if you could start by telling us your connection to Miss Gus Malcolms.
She's my ex-wife. We reconnected when I went to ask her for help. My late wife, Lucy, and I were having fertility problems.
Help, as in?
Rona and I froze some of our embryos when we were together. Well, I knew they were still in storage, so I went to see if we could use them.
And she agreed?
She was in a dilemma. I mean, felt like she really wanted to. Her current husband didn't like it, so she said she was going to have them destroyed.
But she didn't?
No, because I think she knew in her heart she was denying us the chance to become parents. Those embryos were just sitting there redundant. And our answer to everything. Being a mum was all Lucy ever wished for.
So you obtained the embryos another way?
Correct. Lucy became pregnant first time. We were overjoyed. She said it completed us, and it truly did. But the birth was complicated. Lucy went into premature labor. She was so very stressed. I knew that was making things worse. Ivy arrived safely. But Lucy needed surgery. She suffered a hemorrhage. And that's how we lost her.
I'm sorry. That must have been so traumatic.
I was in the depths of grief. Which is when Rona swooped in and took advantage of my suffering. I became hell-bent on taking Ivy from me.
Which led to the kidnap.
Rona claimed she was helping. I was vulnerable. But once I got my head straight, it became clear she had no intention of letting me parent Ivy. I told her I was moving to France to be nearer Lucy's family. And that's when she snatched her. I disappeared. Gone. No idea if I'd ever see my child again. It was complete and utter torture.
You said you allowed Ms. Goerk to help out with Ivy after your wife died. That would suggest that your relationship was good at that point.
I was in a fog. I won't deny I was grateful for Rona stepping in, but I'm sure all the dads here would agree those early days of parenthood are usually dominated by the child's mother. You know, feeding, changing. I hadn't expected to do that alone. So yeah, Rona did lighten the load.
And this was at your house?
Mainly Rona's. I ended up staying there over Christmas with her and her family. Rona was very persuasive, eager to make me see I wasn't coping.
And would you agree you weren't?
In hindsight, I just needed time.
How long did Miss Goerk help out for?
Rona convinced me I needed a break from Ivy. Away.
Liar. Are you suggesting Rona was manipulating you?
It's in her nature. Rona's ambitious. She likes to get what she wants. When she discovered Lucy was pregnant, she hounded her. She wouldn't back off. And that's when she went into early labor. I honestly believe the stress Rona caused was a key factor in Lucy's death.
Is it true that when Miss Goerk refused to give you permission to use her embryos, you entered her house and stole her passport so you could obtain them fraudulently?
Your Honor, I believe this is a matter being dealt with separately.
Please answer the question, Mr. Malcolms.
That's correct, yes.
You forged documents so your new wife could have Miss Goerk's embryos implanted into her womb.
They were half mine.
But you technically created Miss Goerk's baby without her consent.
Yes, and I intend to plead guilty to the fraud charge. Because unlike Rona, I know what I did was wrong.
But still, this makes you very untrustworthy, yes?
I'm not proud of what I did. We just wanted a family. We were desperate.
Is desperation really an excuse for doing something utterly immoral?
Well, to destroy our healthy embryos seemed more immoral.
You kept my client's fertilized embryos viable for several years, then used them to have a baby without her permission or knowledge. Did you never consider how traumatic that would be?
I never intended... her to find out.
So more lies to cover the appalling lies you've already told. Well, then I would suggest that your version of events leading to the kidnap is also lies.
No, she took my child.
But because of your deceit, Ivy was also, biologically, my client's child. No more questions.
You can step down, Mr. Malcolms.
Please, may I call Miss Woodfield to the stand? When your friend Miss Goerk contacted you to say she had kidnapped a child, you must have been shocked.
Rona didn't go into detail. I was living in Canada. I just knew she needed me to come home and help her.
So once you got the facts, were you worried for the baby's well-being?
Not at all. Rona's a brilliant mum. I was more worried for Marlon and the kids. I knew they'd be missing her.
Indeed, especially her 12-year-old son Leo, who has additional needs. Being abandoned by his mother would surely cause him great distress.
Marlon's a great dad. He would have managed fine.
But you just said they'd be missing her. Would you say Miss Goerk was being selfish, disregarding the well-being of her other children?
I could see it was complicated. Rona was being guided by her heart.
Would you agree, Rona's a woman who likes to get what she wants?
Rona's driven, but she's fair and compassionate. When I saw her with Ivy, I could see that she wanted to care for her, and I understood why. Ivy shares Rona's DNA. She's a part of her.
So you supported her bid to illegally gain access?
Like I said, it was complicated.
I'd suggest you knew what Miss Goerk was doing was selfish, immoral, and illegal. And that's why you told her husband where she was hiding out.
I was worried she wasn't thinking straight.
Because you knew Miss Goerk kidnapping the child was wrong.
I didn't see it as kidnap. I saw it as an act of desperation.
Please answer the question. Did you say in your police witness statement that Miss Goerk kidnapping the child was wrong?
Yes. I knew the longer it went on, the worse it would be.
Because little Ivy wasn't hers?
Legally, apparently not.
Oh, I tried, Mary. That prosecutor's a pompous, sarcastic... I've let her down.
Yeah, to tell the truth, they twist everything.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Dingle, I understand that you only discovered that Mr. Malcolms had stolen your wife's embryos by chance. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was at the hospital having an appointment, and I saw Gus and Lucy, and as soon as I saw her, the pregnant bump, I just knew.
How?
Gus, he'd loaded so much guilt onto Rona about how they couldn't have a family. I mean, he completely leaned on her to sign him over.
But you didn't want to do.
Rona's this totally amazing tiger mum. And I knew that she couldn't live a life knowing that her own baby was out there being raised without her. So yeah, I told her not to do it.
And was she upset?
At first, but then she realised it was the right decision to have the embryos disposed of.
So, when you realised that Gus had gone ahead through deception, what impact did that have?
I didn't know how to tell Rona at first. I was in shock. I knew it would change our lives completely.
Was Gus remorseful for what he'd done?
No, never, never. He's always blindly denied any wrong. What he did has affected every inch of our family's life, of our kids' life. The pain, the confusion, the betrayal, and at the heart of it all, this lovely, innocent little girl.
Who you and your family obviously care for.
A lot, yeah. A lot. Gus couldn't cope, so he abandoned her. He just got in his car and he drove away. Ivy was left with us for ages. I got attached. The kids got attached. Days on end, Gus was nowhere to be seen.
Were you angry when your wife absconded with Ivy?
I was just, I was desperately sad. Because what he has done to Rona is cruel. He stole the embryos. He called the police. And now she sat there. It's, the wrong person's on trial.
Come on, Puppet. You can do this.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Miss Goerk, you are here charged with kidnap, but yet I think that one unanswered question is why? Why did you feel it necessary to take this child?
Fear, I guess. Fear that Gus might not be well enough to take care of Ivy properly. Fear that, even as her biological mother, I was going to lose her for good.
Would you say it was out of character for you to do this?
Yes, yeah. I mean, the months leading up to it were... I can't even begin to describe how violated I felt. What Gus did, he took a part of me without asking. He went against my wishes. He's changed my life forever. And the only redeeming thing in all of this is Ivy.
Despite Ivy's, dare I say from your view, unwanted introduction to the world, you had maternal feelings for her.
Absolutely. Yeah, and my natural instinct, especially when I found out that Gus wasn't coping, was to protect her.
Did you ever feel that Ivy was at risk with Gus?
Yes. Gus was grieving, chaotic, no routine. Ivy's nappy rash was so bad, she was bleeding. So whatever Gus claims, he abandoned her and he begged me to step in. Then he showed up weeks later saying he wanted to move abroad with her. I was worried that it was going to be damaging for Ivy, unsettling, you know? I was all she had known, and Gus was more like a stranger.
Miss Goerk, how did you react when you discovered my client's wife was pregnant?
I was shocked, upset.
My client claims your reaction added to the complications that led to his wife's death.
I was genuinely devastated when I found out that Lucy had died. No one wants any child to grow up without their mother.
Except for you, it was kind of the perfect solution.
No, it wasn't. Whatever had happened, I would never wish anyone dead.
Did you feel any guilt, knowing that you just rowed with Mrs. Malcolms shortly before she went into premature labor?
Yeah. Yes, I felt terrible. And the only thing that eased that guilt was when the post-mortem revealed an underlying health condition which made Lucy hemorrhage. It was nothing to do with our disagreement.
If Mrs. Malcolms had survived, do you think you would still doggedly pursue the right to be in Ivy's life?
Yeah, totally.
So you don't deny you would have still kidnapped Ivy even if her birth mother had been around?
No, I never said that.
So what are you saying? That a father's love is less important than a mother's? That a father can't do the job of raising a child as well?
No.
I'd suggest otherwise. I think you took the baby because you thought you could do a better job of raising her. I think you were arrogant.
I'll tell you who's flipping arrogant.
Well, if me wanting to play a part in my own child's life makes me arrogant, then yes, I am. And for the record, regardless of the outcome here, I intend to fight for legal parental rights for my child.
You took Mr. Malcolm's baby and hid her from everyone else because you knew what you were doing was wrong. You knew you were breaking the law because legally you have no rights to that child whatsoever.
Then I would question the rule of law on this.
Calm down, Puppet.
But that's not what you're here to do.
No. I'm here to try and stop you sending me to prison when I am clearly the victim. The law is an ass, quite frankly.
Oh, great.
Go on, Rona.
Miss Goerk.
I'm sorry, but he stole from me. He allowed another woman to give birth to my child without me having a say or a right to argue. And now when I want to have an opinion about how that child, my child, is raised, I am accused of abduction and kidnap. It's insanity. Ivy is my child in every way that matters, and you have to believe that I only took her because I love her. Because she is my daughter.
I think the defendant needs time to reflect and compose herself. Court will adjourn until tomorrow.
All rise.